Okay, what if I told you the key to massive success wasn't finding balance, but strategically letting everything else just fall apart? In this explainer, we're going to dive into a pretty provocative idea that challenges something we're all taught to chase, the idea of having it all at once.
And yeah, the source material does not pull any punches. It calls the idea of a perfectly balanced life overrated garbage. And that's really the core idea we're going to unpack here. The thought that maybe, just maybe, our constant chase to do everything well is the very thing holding us back.
So first things first, let's start by picking apart this ideal that we've all been sold, this myth of the perfectly balanced life.
I mean, think about it. You see it everywhere, right? From productivity gurus to lifestyle blogs, everyone is preaching about balance. You gotta juggle your work, your family, your health, your hobbies, all in this perfect, beautiful harmony. But the argument here is that this ideal isn't just hard to achieve, it might actually be a trap that guarantees you'll never be great at anything.
This slide really lays out the two choices perfectly. Over on the left, you've got perfect balance. You know, spreading your energy thin, making slow, steady progress everywhere. It's all about stability. But on the right, you have this completely different way of thinking. Strategic collapse, where you pour all your energy into one single thing to get a massive, rapid breakthrough. It's really a choice between stability and a quantum leap.
So, why does this whole balanced approach fail us? Well, the source argues that it leads you straight into something it calls the stagnation trap.
This chart here really paints the picture, doesn't it? In a balanced life, you're supposed to give 20% to your job, 20% to personal growth, 20% to family, and so on. Looks pretty good on paper. But here's the critical question the source asks. Is 20% of your focus ever enough to achieve something truly extraordinary in any one of those areas?
And that's the bottom line. When you split your attention like that, you just dilute your impact. You become a jack of all trades, but a master of none. The way this philosophy sees it, chasing balance is just a recipe for a perfectly average life.
Okay, so if balance is the trap, what's the way out? Well, this brings us to the main event, the core concept of this whole idea. A powerful and, yeah, pretty extreme solution called strategic collapse.
Now, the most important part of this definition is that first part. This is a conscious decision. This isn't just you being overwhelmed. This is you intentionally choosing to let certain things go. And not just slide a little bit, but as the source says, to plummet. Also, you can free up every last bit of your energy for the one thing that truly matters most to you right now.
And just listen to the language here. The source doesn't just say deprioritize some things. No way. It uses these incredibly strong verbs. Slide, collapse, descend, plummet. This is not about gently putting things on the back burner. It is all about radical, intentional sacrifice.
I know, this all sounds really intense, maybe even a little scary. So how would somebody actually do this? Let's break down the process and see how this abstract idea gets turned into a real strategy.
The framework is actually pretty simple. First, you have to be brutally honest with yourself and pick your single most important goal. Not two goals, just one. Second, you make a list of everything else that takes up your time and energy. Third, and this is the toughest part, you have to consciously choose which of those other things you're going to let fail for a while. And finally, you take all that time and energy you just freed up and you execute relentlessly on that one goal. And this is such an important distinction to make. This isn't about chaos. It's not about just letting your life fall apart randomly. It is the absolute opposite of that. It's about taking that tangled mess of priorities we all have and turning it into a single focused laser beam through some seriously ruthless prioritization.
But let's be real. A strategy this extreme, it doesn't come for free. So in our final section, we're going to look at the other side of the coin, the very real price you have to pay for this kind of extreme growth.
This table just lays out the trade-offs with total clarity. The payoff? It's huge. Massive achievement, unprecedented focus, breakout success. But the price you pay is steep. Other parts of your life get neglected, your relationships might get strained, and yeah, there's a real risk of burnout. The key thing here is that this is not a permanent way to live. It has to be a short-term, all-out sprint for a single critical goal, like launching your business or getting that degree.
So ultimately, it all boils down to this. The whole philosophy of strategic collapse only works if your main goal is so incredibly important, so meaningful to you, that you are fully aware of the price and you are consciously willing to pay it. The sacrifice isn't a bug, it's the entire point.
So, we'll leave you with that final, pretty provocative question that the source material poses. A question that really forces you to look in the mirror and think about your own ambitions. What are you truly willing to let collapse for the thing you want most in the world? It's a tough question for sure. Thanks for digging into this with us.